All right, chapter 10. We left Sean racing from the hospital, leaving Mr. Hassler and his father in the hospital. He's trying to drown out their voices by leaving. Leaning against the side of the truck, I could feel the wind cool my burning cheeks off quickly and dry them as well. I tried to steady my breathing. My heart was pounding in my ears. I did not care what my father thought. I didn't want to go live with him. All I wanted to do was live happily ever after at Carbondale Ranch. But since I knew that wasn't going to happen, I was pulling for just being able to stay for a week. And I was already trying to figure out a way to be there for the summer camp, either as a camper or maybe even as a worker. I had accidentally left the jacket inside. I tried the truck doors, hoping to get in out of the wind, but they were locked. I walked around the truck nervously, and it helped keep me warm. Once, twice, 5 times around the truck, and I decided to walk to the hospital, and then turned around 5 feet from the door, and I walked back to the truck. I went all the way back to the emergency room doors, and then back to the truck again. What could be taking so long? I walked around the truck 2 more times. Okay, fine. This time I'm going in, I promised myself. I must look like a moron walking back and forth out here. I got halfway back to the hospital door when it swung open and Mr. Hassler walked out. When he got within a couple of feet, he tossed me the jacket. Ready to go? He asked, striding right past me. Sure, I said, pulling on the jacket and hurrying to keep up with him. I looked back over my shoulder 3 times as we were pulling out of the parking lot. He wasn't saying anything, and the whole situation felt wrong, like we were running away from something. My teeth started chattering in spite of the jacket. He glanced at me and turned the heater on, but he still didn't say anything. I was dying of curiosity, but I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of knowing it was bothering me. Any normal person would just tell you what happened after you left, but Mr. H was being quiet, and I wasn't going to ask him about it. Hey, I said with a half smile, looks like I got out of writing my paper again. Mr. H grunted. It's no big deal anyway. It's not like I'm failing or anything. I'm getting by. Life is not about getting by, Sean. It's about meeting challenges and giving them everything and everyone all that you have. Maybe it used to be, I retorted, but it's not like that anymore. People who work all the time get all stressed out and never have time to enjoy life. I'm not going to be like that. He frowned. Nope, you're certainly not. I sat back and relaxed. At least he wasn't going to fight me on that. He continued. You'll just get by, and you'll have to work all the time at a low-paying job and never have the opportunity to decide if you want to take the time off and enjoy life. It will be financially impossible for you to take time off. I glared at him. I'll make a good living. Doing what? How should I know? I'm only 15, for Pete's sake. Only 15, he mimicked. Too young to know what you want to do, but old enough to have to decide you don't care about anything or anyone. Old enough to have decided you're not going to do anything with your life because all you need to do is get by. Pull over. What? My lips felt like ice and I was shaking all over, but I repeated myself, pull over. I'll just walk back to my mother's house from here. I'm not going to listen to this stuff from my father, and I'm sure not going to listen to it from some old guy who's a complete stranger. Boy, you've really got that all wrong, he said, shaking his head. Pull over. I'm not going to, he growled. I reached for the door handle. I didn't care how fast we were going. I was getting out. As soon as I moved, though, he slammed his hands down on my thigh just above my knee and squeezed hard. The pain was unreal. Don't even think about it, he snarled. This is kidnapping, I yelled. I'll sue. This is assault. It's your butt. Your butt is mine. He did pull over then, although it was more of a sudden swerve, and suddenly I knew I had crossed some line that I had never wanted to cross. I threw myself out of the truck before it came to a complete stop and bolted through the field. He caught me. I don't know how, but he did. Well, actually, he tripped me and kind of landed on top of me. But he yanked me up again by the collar before I really felt the impact. He shook me a few times, his face is just inches from mine. I told you before, when you talk to people who care about you, you treat them with respect. You put effort forward and give them what they have given you. Do you understand me? He was really yelling at me. Yes, sir, I ground out sarcastically. You're giving me so much respect right now, I don't know how I missed it. Where do you come off pulling this attitude with me, huh? Who do you think you are? He shook me again under the freezing stars. Do you think you're the only one who hurts, and that makes you better than everyone else? I know I'm not the only one who hurts, I yelled back, but I'm tired of being hurt and not going to take it from anyone anymore. Let go of me. You don't care. You can get the next kid they bust to come to shovel the poop for you. I don't matter to you. Getting your work done for free is all that's important to you. He released me suddenly, and I dropped to the ground. Towering above me with his hands on his hips, he yelled at me so loud his voice was shaking. I just put not only myself on the line, but I put my whole ranch, my whole life on the line for you. You don't want to go to daddy. You cry, so I step in and I fight to get you the right to stay with me. And then all you can think about is skating by in life. You don't want to do a thing that involves work and effort. Is that why you didn't want to go with your father, huh? Because I will not coddle a boy who is simply being selfish. I'm not being selfish, I screamed at him. You're just upset because you're the one who stands to lose something. I've been losing my whole life. You make it sound like your life was at home was so bad. Now I wonder if you're just too much of a pansy to handle life, and you're the one who made your home life so bad. I stared up at him. Oh yeah, like you know anything about my whole life. I would know more about your home life if you cared enough to talk about it. He had stopped yelling. Sort of. You say you've been losing your whole life, he said. Well, I've got news for you, bucko. You've been losing because you don't have the guts to try and win. It's easier for you to roll over and say that you've lost, so you don't even try and win. And then you look for pity. Well, you're not going to get any pity from me. I've given you all the chances I know how to give. You can't even say thank you, probably, because it takes too much effort. In the background I could hear the truck engine running. The air was frosty and the ground was hard, and the clouds made the night seem like blackness. Forget it. He threw up his hands in disgust. Go throw your life away. Go sulk at daddy's and shut yourself off from everyone. He turned and kicked at a weed by his foot. You've made it clear that you don't want me. Why should I want you? He hurried away and walked towards the road. He didn't understand. No one understood. I felt completely alone again. I didn't like it. I got up and dusted myself off. I broke into a light jog to catch up with him. I reached the passenger side of the truck just as he was opening the driver's door. He stopped and looked at me over the roof. He held his gaze as long as I could, which wasn't very long. I opened my mouth to apologize, but I just couldn't. Instead, I said, I'd like to be able to stay at the ranch until I'm done with my community service. I'll do any chores you give me, and I won't complain. Mr. H didn't say anything. And I'll do my homework. I'll do it the best that I know how to do. He looked at me for a long time, and I tried to stay still, but I had a hard time keeping my teeth from chattering. You planning on doing any more cooking? He asked. Only if you tell me to. I don't think I can afford pizzas every night for the next couple of weeks, Mr. H said dryly. I'll try to be more careful and pay attention in your kitchen. If you come with me now, there will be no more talk back, and you will give 100% to each job I give you, whether I tell you to give 100% or not. I nodded, bouncing on my feet, trying to stay warm. Well then, let's go. 6:30 comes early in the morning. I just enjoyed the warmth of the truck for the rest of the drive to the ranch. My eyes kept closing, and then my head would drop forward until I snapped it back. The cold air on the walk into the house woke me up a little, but I was exhausted. We climbed the stairs silently, and then he turned towards his end of the hall. Mr. H? He stopped, but he did not turn around. What did you mean when you said that you put yourself and the ranch on the line for me? His shoulders dropped just a little. Your father thinks he can get a lawsuit out of this. I don't understand. Why? I asked. What did you say? I told him that I had been given partial custody for the rest of the week and that you were still doing community service for me. But if that's all true, where would a lawsuit come from? He bowed his head. When we were talking, neither of us used the most polite tones or words that we could find. I believe the charges he has in mind are slander and assault. Assault? He still hadn't turned around. He said something, and I hit him. What did he say? It doesn't matter. It was about me, wasn't it? It doesn't matter, Sean. I lost my temper, and I shouldn't have. Mr. H. He still didn't turn around. Dave, I said, and this time he slowly turned around. I waited until he looked up at me. Thank you for everything you've. I stopped and I took a breath and started over. Thank you for giving me your chocolate. This time I was the one who turned away with my head down. Good night, Sean. I'll see you in the morning. This is the end of chapter 10. We learned that Mr. H has some flaws and that he may be getting in trouble for some of those flaws. But why do you think it's important for our author to include in this book that Mr. H has these flaws, that he's a broken person? Why is that important? Go ahead and answer that in Canvas and then log in whenever you're ready for chapter 11.